Episode number 119 of the Wholesome Fertility Podcast. Welcome to the Wholesome Fertility Podcast. I'm Michelle, a fertility acupuncturist here to provide you with resources on how to create a wholesome approach to your fertility journey. My guest today is an inspiring woman named Allie. Allie is one of my podcast listeners who reached out to me over a year ago. I was holding 2 spots for my online fertility program that I was giving away based on stories and emails. So she was one of the people that emailed. I really loved her story and thought she would benefit greatly. So she was one of the winners of the online program. And her story is so inspiring. She actually kept me up to date on what was going on in her life, how she was doing, and just recently sent me a picture of her beautiful newborn baby boy. And her story was so inspiring because she was on a very long fertility journey. So I know that her coming on is going to inspire so many of you. And I really do believe in the power and the healing power of stories. And I know that when you hear somebody that went on a similar story or struggle, that if they overcame it, it just gives you hope to know that you can also overcome it. So I really wanted to have her on to share her beautiful story of hope. And I also want to say, in this theme of giving away a spot, I am offering another giveaway. If you are interested and you enter by sending me your story to info@thewholesomelotus.com, I will review your email, and whoever enters, so if you send me an email with your story and you enter, you will automatically get 25% off of the online program. So this is the online course, the do-it-yourself course. And if you just by entering, you get or send me an email to info@thewholesomelotus.com, you will automatically get 25% off regardless if you get picked or not. I will be accepting the submissions until February 29th, and I'll be replying to the winner in the first week of March. So I'm offering that to you, and I'm very excited to hear back from you guys. So I am so happy to have Allie on, and I'm so excited for you to hear her story. So welcome, Allie.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I guess also thank you for helping me with my little bundle of joy.
Thank you, first of all, for being so brave and wanting to come on and sharing your story, because I really know that a lot of people are going to get a lot of hope from your story. And I would love for you to share it, because I know it's been a long one, and it's just, it's such an amazing journey.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, that's for sure. I guess it goes all the way back to when I was 19. I was traveling, went off the birth control pill because I was in a foreign country and didn't really care. And it never came back. So I was close to 9 years without a period. And my husband and I wanted kids more than anything. Basically, no natural remedies were working. We didn't really know what route to go. But
and what did you try before as far as natural remedies?
Yeah. So, well, first I should have said, to add into all of that, I struggled with a really bad eating disorder in the middle of everything. Mm-hmm. And that definitely didn't help any of my hormones. So I kind of crashed those. And even with the weight on, nothing was rebalanced. So I was working with a naturopath. I was eating healthier. I had put on a little bit of weight. I still trained probably way, way, way too much, but that's my career. I'm a trainer. I had done my first round of IUIs. So we were actually with a fertility clinic, and those weren't working. And then I'd always listened to your podcast, and I entered into your contest to win the modules for school. And I had finished you actually called me when I had just found out that my second IUI failed and I got my period that day.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it was kind of an emotional day. And the day that I found that out, I also had found out my sister-in-law was pregnant. So it was full of emotions.
Oh, wow.
I was beat down and my body was basically just, I like to think it was working against me, but I was working against my body at that point.
Now, you mentioned getting your period. So when did you start getting your period, when you started doing the IUI, or before that?
Never naturally. So it was only because of the trigger injections during the IUI.
Got
So I
it.
still haven't naturally had a period. So it'll be interesting to see if I get it with Bowen.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and everything just kind of wasn't falling into place. Acupuncture wasn't helping, but it was just my mental state. I was so scared of letting go of my ways and to train less and to be less rigid and to eat more and to relax and not, yeah, that's kind of when I found you.
Yeah, I mean it is quite a story, and I know that I mean that's a really long time. So you did do the trigger shots, you did do the IUI, and you did two, correct?
Yeah, so by the time we got pregnant, I was my fourth IUI that we had went through. um yeah, so but that was when I fell pregnant, but I started your module when I had my third IUI. So literally the next round after I finished the course, I fell
Mm-hmm.
pregnant, which was pretty cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And what do you feel shifted for you in general? Like, what do you feel changed?
Um, when I started your module, I was like, okay, there's a reason, I listened to her podcast. There's a reason I got this. Like something is working for me. So I wholeheartedly took everything I was learning. I rested. I stopped. You like CrossFit pretty much 6, 7 days a week. I stopped doing
Mm-hmm.
it so much. I did it maybe 3 times, and then I would just go do what I call normal workouts. I
Mm-hmm.
started meditating. I ate warming foods, and I ate the
Mm-hmm.
orange foods, and I ate for my organs, and I stopped focusing on my macros. I didn't count my macros during that phase. And
Mm-hmm.
every time I went in for my injections or every time I took a pill for the fertility treatments, I'd meditate before. And then I
Mm-hmm.
did the post IUI meditations while I waited on the table after she just injected me. And it
Mm-hmm.
was just, I basically just surrendered fully that
Wow.
I was done. I wanted my body to just do whatever it needed to do. And it was fascinating how quick my body changed. Like I knew I was pregnant way before I could even go get my blood work done.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was
It's just so
really,
amazing.
it gives me goosebumps even just thinking about it. And like my husband's so great. He's really into breath work and he's really into taking those 5, 10 minutes every morning. And so I just, talk to him as much as possible. And I let him know when I was uncomfortable. And we both knew straight away, like this time it was going to be different. And I actually
Yeah.
talked to a medium about 2 days after I finished the course with you. And she told
Oh,
me,
that's amazing. I
yeah,
love mediums.
oh, me too. And she told me that the 16th or 17th were going to be big days of March. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
well, that doesn't pan out because my IUIs didn't line up with that. And oddly enough, my cycle was 2 days longer and I was injected on the 16th.
Oh my God, that's crazy. Now, who's this medium?
She's amazing. I've worked with her for the last couple of years. She's in Canada here in Red Deer, and she's absolutely amazing. And she predicted that I just needed, in her words, calm the F down and focus on wholeness. And it
Yeah.
works. Yeah.
Easier said than done, I know. But actually, if you want, send me her information. I'll put it on the episode notes
Oh,
for
totally. I
anybody
will.
else. So we'll give her a little shout out. And so as far as meditation, I personally think it's life changing. However, I know that it's hard for people to start to do it every day and like really do it, consistently. So what type of meditation did you do? How did you do it? And how did you implement it? Just for people listening who
Yeah.
want to start applying that.
So I am one of those people who are very against it. Like I can't do yoga. I can't calm down. And in your course, you really focus on, the meditation, taking those few minutes, even if it's 3 minutes to start. So I think I actually started off with just 3 minutes, and I do it at the end of my workout. And I downloaded some apps when I was first pregnant, or like trying to get pregnant and going through everything. I wish I could remember what it's called, but it was basically a fertility app. And it just led you through like kind of, I want to surrender my body. I'm visualizing this baby. So even if I wasn't fully meditating, I was just visualizing images of me pregnant and images of my body changing and me being okay with it. And that really helped, because I was really nervous that it would trigger my eating disorder once I was pregnant. And so I just focused on what I will look like, what I will feel like, what I need to eat, and, you know, that I can't do certain things. And I just visualized myself holding this baby. And I mean, you can be spiritual, whether it's religious or not, but I definitely added some prayers after my meditations, and I prayed every day. And and then once I got a little bit more comfortable, I guess, with the meditation, I still can't do more than about 5-6 minutes, but sometimes it's just breathing. I just close my eyes, I lay on my back, and I just focus on that 4 counts in, hold, 4 counts out, and just, whether I'm thinking positive things, I just try and think of nothing sometimes and just breathe for 4 minutes, 5 minutes.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And it must have changed your life in general. And I always say that, you know, my first priority with my patients or my clients is to get them to feel well and happy and vital in their life generally. That's number one. Everything else kind of comes naturally after that. That's how I personally see it.
It was, when you reached out to me about the course, I honestly was like a week away from thinking I was going to relapse. I was in such a dark place. I had put on a lot of weight. As far as
the eating disorder, you mean?
Yeah. I'd put on a lot of weight with the fertility drugs, and I was just so uncomfortable. I didn't even want my husband to touch me because I felt so uncomfortable. And I was like, how are we going to get pregnant? I don't even want to be near you in that way. And I just tried to reframe what it was all about. And once I kind of accepted my body in that way, being pregnant was probably the time of my life I felt the most sexy and the most feminine. I did bathtub shoots, and I did a nude photo shoot down in the sunset in the water, because I just loved my little...
Fabulous. I love it.
I loved my little bump. And my husband, we were never so close as when that time during my pregnancy. We just bonded so well, and I finally just let him get close to me and wasn't scared of my body and scared of what he was thinking about my body. It was just...
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was such a shift, and I've never felt so far removed from my eating disorder. Even now, like, I still struggle a little. Like today, putting on some pants, I'm like, oh, those are too tight still. But then I look at Bowen and I'm just like, who cares? I'll throw on some leggings.
Yeah, it is amazing how those kind of life events shift your whole mindset. I will say, though, I have to give you credit, because it's not simply signing up for a program. It's not simply working with somebody. It's not even simply deciding you're going to do something. It's really the courage of just choosing it. You know, it really is, it takes courage to actually embody your new thought pattern and really shifting things for yourself, because it's not easy to actually step into it. And that takes a lot of courage. And I really praise you for that. And I hope you also, give yourself that credit. It is an amazing, amazing accomplishment.
Well, thank you. And I really appreciate that. But I so get what you're saying, because I mean, textbook wise, I was doing everything right and there was no rhyme or reason, but it's more than that. I don't know how to explain it. You can do any course, or you can do any procedure, acupuncture, any tincture, but if your mental thoughts aren't believing in it and believing in yourself, it's not going to work.
Yeah. And it's, when you were talking about the macronutrients, counting things, and all of that stuff actually puts a lot of pressure and stress.
Yeah.
So I kind of noticed that you mentioned that you kind of let that go.
I had a 3,000 day streak of tracking. And I mean, I was married in Bali, all these different things during this time. And I still managed to make sure I tracked my meals every day on our honeymoon and away. And I hate, and I'm embarrassed to even admit that, but I didn't ruin my streak. And it's like, how much was I missing out because I had to enter in how many grams of carbs I was eating? And
yeah,
it was just such useless energy. And now I a little bit more intuitively, I might get back into tracking just to make sure I'm eating enough, because he's growing very, very fast. He's almost put on 3 pounds since he was born.
Oh, how cute. Yeah.
So
amazing.
Yeah, he's a big boy. But I might just do it in a fact that I want to ensure that I haven't slipped into any habits and I'm eating enough, but that will not be a long-term thing. It might be a week of it and then cool, carry on.
It really sounds like you've empowered your life throughout your process. And it's true though, like when you were talking about counting, a lot of that also happens with fertility. And I actually try to, because I know what helps and what doesn't just from the kind of textbook information. But sometimes it's important not to add too much pressure on what to avoid, what to eat, what supplements, because that can be really overwhelming.
Especially being pregnant, there's so many rules and things you can do, things you shouldn't do, things you should try. And that's kind of like what I loved about your approach, is it was suggestions and things that can supplement what you're doing, not, this is the only way you can do it. And I really appreciated that. And I just tried to incorporate those things a few more times into my diet. And I really love the different, like, kind of more ancient Chinese things. So I read that first 40 days as well. Mm-hmm. And I really tried to follow some of those for the first at least 2 weeks. It's a little bit hard with modern culture here to do it strictly, but like, I ate the warming foods and I just didn't care what I was eating. I just ate what I felt like my body was asking for.
Mm-hmm. Which I think really is ultimately the best way to eat. It's intuitive eating.
Oh, completely.
You're basically getting into your body and listening to what your body needs.
Yeah. And it's a little hard in the beginning, but you learn like what the signs actually mean. Like, I was so lethargic at the end of pregnancy, and I knew, okay, I need more red meat and I need more iron in my diet. I need to incorporate those iron-rich foods. And you can just tell just from your own responses and moods what you need without having to track it or write it down and whatnot.
Your body is designed to tell you things and to speak to you. And I think that truly, like, once you start listening, you can start to understand it better. Like, you almost start to understand the language.
Oh yeah, it's definitely like its own little language, and those little things mean something. And even if it's not something healthy, if you really look at what it is that you're craving, you're like, oh, I actually want this. Like the other day at the last week of pregnancy, all I wanted was raisin bran. And I was like, I don't eat cereal ever. And it was almost like it was my body's way of like, okay, we need to get everything cleansed out because you're going to go into labor soon. You're wanting to do this into the pool. Like, let's get you ready. And it was so helpful because post delivery, I didn't have any pains. My body just felt good. I wasn't dreading that first movement. And it was just those like subtle cues of what really was wanting and needing at the time.
That's incredible. I mean, it sounds to me like you were doing a lot of things right beforehand, but it sounds like it was the biggest thing for you seems to be this mind shift and kind of a spiritual shift of surrender. Yeah.
And I really noticed it play into, like, Bowen was full breech at 32 weeks still, like full breech. Went for my 34-week appointment and they're like, nope, his head is still upright. So I went to acupuncture every 5 days. I did moxibustion at home every single night.
Yeah, on your foot, right?
Yeah.
On your little toe.
My husband did it for me every single night on both feet. And, it's very common that people in my family have had that. And I was like, no, this is my own story. It's not my family's. This is my own birth. And I just ignored what they were all saying. And my husband and I were like, nope, like, this is my body. He's going to do what he wants to do. And every day I just talked to Bowen and I said, let's work together. Let's do this together. Let's flip you. And we went in, and I think after 5 acupuncture treatments, he was head down fully. Everything was good to go. because like we wanted to do the home birth so bad. So it was such a relief. And I got my dream birth, which was kind of
That's
awesome.
amazing.
Yeah, I was so grateful. But I just didn't let it get me down that there, was this hiccup. It was like, no, I'm going to work with him. We'll do what we got to
Yeah.
do. I was doing handstands and inversions every day.
Yeah, I've been there. Yeah, but it is amazing. You know what I love is I love the fact that you were, it's again a choice, and you're like, nope, I'm not taking that. That's not my story.
Oh,
I'm just gonna make it my own.
every auntie, my dad, everyone was like, oh, that's such a trait in our family. Like, your sister had both her babies breech, your mom had hers breech. And I was like, cool, well, I'm not going to, because
Yeah,
this is my own.
that's right. And I feel the same. I mean, this goes to going to the doctor and women going through the whole fertility journey and being told things. I say, listen to your heart.
Yeah, completely. And
Yeah,
same with
let
like
that
medication.
move you.
Like, if they tell you to try something and you just genuinely don't feel like you're ready. Like, I was not ready to go to a fertility clinic for a good year. I just wanted to do it as naturally as possible. And then finally it just got to a point where we did need that little extra push, but I just, in my gut, didn't want to go. And I think it wasn't so much that the meds were bad. It was my body was telling me mentally, you're not ready. So don't
Yeah.
don't waste your time. Let's just quote unquote get you healthier for this 1 year, and then you'll be ready for the fertility clinic.
That's right. And you know what? I say, really, that is our inner compass. We are born with that. Everybody has an incredible, intelligent intuition built in. We all have it. And it's amazing what happens when we start to listen to it. It's amazing because the more we listen to that muse, I call it the muse or whatever it is that kind of pushes us, the more we listen to it, the more, just like with a body, you can start to read it and understand its language. And once you do that, it's like magic starts to happen in your life.
Oh, totally. And I mean, sometimes you get the cues wrong, but it still means something, and you learn from it and you change, and you're like, oh, okay, that's actually what my body meant. And that happens to me all the time. But it's like a growing process, just like we are every day too.
It is, for sure. It's usually the first instinct. It's that first instinct when we start to, I had Julie Ryan on. She's an intuitive, medical intuitive. And she says, it's that first instinct within seconds. And if you start to have more thoughts built upon that, that's your mind. Your mind starts to kind of add to it. But it's that first initial, it's when you take that test and you're like, I should have listened to my intuition, and I changed it. I changed the answer.
Oh, totally. I know exactly what you mean. And our bodies are so funny at stopping us from doing something in a roundabout way. So I think my career and my personality, I thought I am going to be training and throwing the barbell around until I'm 39 weeks pregnant. I'm going to go into labor at the gym. And it so was not the case. 3 weeks in, I felt like my abs were just tearing and my body hurt all the time. Mm-hmm. And then unfortunately, this might be too much information, but I actually had about an 8-month-long yeast infection during my pregnancy. We just couldn't get rid of it. I never really ate carbs until I got pregnant. And so it was such a shock to my system, needing all these carbohydrates.
Right. Because yeast loves carbs.
Yeah, exactly. And no matter what I did, I just couldn't get rid of it. But it was like my body's way of being like, you're not going to train. You're not going to ruin this. You're just going to take care of everything. And you're going to just be at home and learn about yourself and learn about your husband and what you want to be and the kind of wife you want to be and mother. And I really feel like all those things that were happening, they weren't the funnest, and it made for a long 8 months, but I learned so much. And I'm actually so grateful that it did happen, because I didn't need to be in the gym. I could do my little body weight workouts and I felt great. And I made a
and
healthy
night. Just breathing.
Oh, totally.
Breathing, just like the breath work itself. Because I think that's one of the things that makes us feel so good when we're exercising is our bodies force us to breathe. And when we breathe, it actually gives us that satisfaction of getting that vitality through our body.
And It's funny that you're saying that. We were talking about this the other night about, training and getting winded. And during pregnancy, I was just like, every time I get winded, I just feel like I'm taking away from him that, I wanted to just do breathing exercises, and I wanted to just do slow, steady things. And it was such a shift in what was important to me. And before it was like the sweatier, the better. And this time it was like, no, I don't want to sweat at all.
Well, that's another thing that I kind of took notice to your stories is how we tend to identify as a certain way of being. And for you, it seems to have really shifted your identity. Your identity was the gym, and you thought that that was just who you are. But as we know, especially when we grow and transform, it's not about being a certain way and identifying with being a certain way. We always have that choice to shift.
Yes.
And to try on a new way of being.
And you always feel like people are going to judge if you do shift, or they'll be like, oh, well, she used to be this person, but no one really cares.
Nobody cares.
No, I
That's
was
the biggest secret.
So stressed.
And if they do, then they don't really get it. So
exactly. And it's so not important, or they're not people you need in your life. But I was that really ultra lean trainer. I love to compete. I competed in CrossFit competitions throughout the year. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm going to lose that, and I'm going to lose my career, and I'm going to be this different person. But I didn't understand women. I didn't understand the women I trained because I didn't have a cycle as an adult woman. I didn't get cramps. I didn't have children. I wasn't tired. And so I feel like I can actually relate so much more to these people that I was trying to help before. And I can be a better coach and trainer, and just, I don't know, I'm more empathetic to what really goes on in a normal woman's life.
Yeah, consider fertility coaching. I'll tell you, the best fertility coaches are the ones that have been through it.
Honestly, I even just going through this, I was like, oh my gosh, do I want to be a doula? I just loved everything about the birth process.
Amazing. No, but that's how it is. It's you go through it. Look, I started out as a patient. It regulated my cycle. I actually saved my fertility, honestly, because I know that my fertility would not be, I wouldn't be fertile had it not been for my own acupuncture and being a patient and having that regulated. And so we all start out as patients, really. A lot of times, for especially anything that is so heart-centered and anything that you do for a living that's very personal, and that's how it always starts. You understand, and then you are able to really empathize with the person in front of you or the people that you work with.
That trust is already built, I believe, too. They trust you because they know you went through it.
Absolutely. And really, I mean, it's like anything. How could you really know unless you went through some version of it, you know?
Oh, totally.
Yeah. It is so amazing. But I find your story to be so inspiring because you overcame so many different things. I mean, you overcame like physically, but you've also overcome a lot of mental. I mean, any kind of food disorder is very difficult to overcome and change because it's so connected to behavior. And that's something that is truly very difficult because it really comes down to the conscious and the subconscious mind because a lot of patterns are buried in our subconscious mind. So to be able to actually access it, it's very difficult to access that pattern. And it's like really deep within. So to be able to overcome that, it's a huge, huge accomplishment.
Thank you. And I agree. Like it was definitely one of the hardest things. And mine came on as an adult, which is even a bit more rare. It didn't really start till I was about 22. I was in treatment for about a month and it freaked me out. So then I just tried to go back to school, get better. And the weight kept coming off. The habits were getting worse. So I went into inpatient care down in Vancouver, stayed there for 3 months, but I was so depleted that all it really did was just get me into a little bit of a healthier weight when I left. Mm-hmm. And then I met my husband not long after, and I swear he was sent to me just to get me better and fall in love with me.
Amazing. Oh,
because
how beautiful.
He was there through me thinking I was okay and being at my absolute worst, probably because I was in quote unquote healthier size, but I was still, you know, a 00 or a size 2. And I was 25 years old, training 3 hours a day, trying to eat off of 1,500 carbs and calories and thinking it was enough. And he just kind of held my hand through it all and went through the different stages. And I started nutrition coaching myself after I found my own nutrition coach, and they really helped me. And he just kind of always never looked at my body. It was always something else. And it just made me less aware of it every day, less noticing it, and just focusing on what I needed to do and how to be a better person.
Yeah, it sounds like he saw you for you, your essence, and that's really what it comes down. That's really who we are.
Oh yeah,
and that's our true identity.
I was so grateful. The poor guy, he was even warned. They're like, "Man, leave her alone. She's going through some shit." But no,
but you know what? It's healing, I think, on both sides.
Oh, yeah. And like, just even now, like postpartum, he's very aware, and he, you know, kind of keeps an eye on things, and he checks in with me daily to see how I'm feeling. And as my body's changing, and just reminds me that it's okay. It's not going to be instant, and it's okay if it takes a little bit longer.
And as you know, things do shift and everything gets better with time.
Yes. And I'm slowly realizing that, he did a number on me during the labor, so it'll definitely be a little bit of a slower recovery than I had hoped, but that's okay. He's super healthy, and that's all that matters. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. Well, it sounds like first of all, I really enjoyed your pictures that you sent me. It was so nice, and it was kind of interesting because I got 2 pictures of babies on the same day of people that took the program. It just happened to be you and somebody else. So it was kind of a cool thing to see. It was a gift. I mean, a true gift.
Well, look what you're doing for women. It's amazing. I'm so grateful.
But it really is, it's so rewarding to me that I would say, you know, in a selfish way, it really feeds me a lot too, you know?
Yeah.
And to see those 2, it's kind of like, you think that things are random, but they're not. It just goes to show that there's something mysterious about everything.
Oh yeah.
And how it really is such a gift.
There's a reason I started listening to your podcast and then fell into kind of working with you, I guess.
Yeah, well, I don't believe in accidents. I think that everything also needs to be in alignment. You know, I've talked to many people, and if they weren't aligned, it's not a good time to start something if you're not fully into it. Just like you said, you weren't ready to go to the doctor. You said you needed a little more time. So everything needs to be in alignment, no matter what it is. If you're not doing something and you're not fully aligned, wait. It's okay. Yeah. You know, you got to find the time that you're truly, truly aligned, and that's when you do it. And that's when everything has impact. It's incredible when all of that, you know, the timing and the intention and the readiness all line up, and you get this boom, amazing effect.
And I think the coolest part is you don't even know what's lining up. It just all of a sudden things are happening and you get so excited. And then it's kind of, once you're in the end of it, you're like, oh my gosh, look what's happening. And it all came together.
Right. And it's effortless because again, it's the infinite design of this amazing intelligence that kind of runs the show, and it moves us. So it really, when it comes down to, one of the best ways to connect with that really is meditation. So when you have just a few minutes a day where you're receptive, you're basically putting yourself in this receptivity, and then you're getting fed really this amazing divine energy that moves you and also strengthens you, gives you enough strength to surrender, because you almost need a little strength to surrender.
Oh yeah. It's like the most strength you'll ever need, I think.
It is. It's true. You know, you think surrendering is like, it sounds kind of like weak, but it's actually a very courageous act.
And just on the note of meditation, when you're a new mom, you think, oh my gosh, I'm going to have no time for it. Well, you don't, but do it while you're holding your baby and while you're trying to get him back to sleep in the night. I have no idea when I was going to do it. And I'm right now, it's more just breath work I'm doing. But when I'm overtired and flustered, I just breathe with him in my arms while he's feeding in the night or first thing in the morning. And it kind of is enough to reset the day or to just kind of reset and go back to bed.
I love that. You know, what's interesting is that I never got into a full, like everyday consistent meditation until after I gave birth. Before that, I would meditate, but not daily.
Mm-hmm.
But after giving birth, I remember being all over the place because your hormones are out of whack and you feel all kinds of things and you're exhausted and you can't function. And for me, sleep is so important. I can't function without sleep.
Oh my gosh.
And my husband knew that too, because he can handle not sleeping. So I remember thinking one time I sat in bed and I remember thinking, this is the phrase that came to my mind. With great power comes great responsibility, but with great responsibility comes great power. And now I have this great responsibility. I have to connect with that power. And I just said it. I'm like, I have to meditate every single day because I want to be a really good mother.
I like that.
And I want to be connected. And so it was kind of like that. I have no choice. To me, it's like breastfeeding or feeding the child. I have to meditate so that I'm fed and I'm able to really feed every aspect of my child, you know?
Oh, and they feed off of that. Like he was so fussy the other day and the first time it happened, I got worked up and I cried. And then the second day I just started my breathing when he was so fussy. And yeah, he's a baby. He's going to have those times, but it was enough that he would calm for 10 minutes or he'd, latch to my boob and I'd get 20 minutes of peace. And it was just like, okay, he really does feel everything I'm feeling.
Oh, for sure. Now, let me ask you this question. How much did the fertility journey prepare you for this moment?
Oh, so much. I actually am so grateful for it because it goes through the emotional ups and downs of just, I think the hormone crashes, the body changes, and you're just so grateful for every little thing. And I think that's the biggest thing is I'm so grateful that I have him and I feel so blessed that I never take any moment for granted. And I go with the flow and I don't care if he's screaming, he's adorable. And I love him because it was such a journey to get to him.
That is so beautiful. And what a beautiful, amazing journey. First of all, thank you so much for having the courage to share your story because I know it's not always easy. It's personal. I mean, I knew that this story was going to inspire so many, and I'm sure that so many people listening right now are so inspired by your story. It's so remarkable. And I thank you so much for having the courage to share this because you're really helping so many people. You may not even realize just how many people you're helping right now.
Well, thank you. And I really hope so. I just want all of those women who have been through what I'm going through or just feel so defeated to know that it is possible. Stop listening to every piece of advice everyone gives you and just listen to what you really feel on the inside.
Right. That's right. Listen to your heart.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much, Allie, for coming on.
Awesome. We'll have a really great day and I'll keep you updated with Bowen pictures.
Yes, for sure. So that concludes today's episode. You can find all of the links mentioned on the episode notes. If you're enjoying these episodes, please take a moment to share and leave a review. Reviews mean everything to podcasters, and I really enjoy hearing from my listeners. You can also find me on my website at www.thewholesomelotus.com or email me at info@thewholesomelotus.com. I love hearing from my listeners. If you're interested and want updates as well as a free ebook on my top 10 fertility boosting habits, you can visit my fertility page on www.thewholesomelotus.com. I thank you so much for listening in and hope that you have a beautiful day.